one red, pour out the Jameson for ancestors to swig.
You rescue me yet again. You put me first everywhere. You make me feel better than the mother dudes. You rescue me yet again. You put me first everywhere. You make me feel better than the mother dudes.
Thank you for tuning into the Black Fathers Initiative of Cleveland YouTube page. Really appreciate the love. Hit the like button, subscribe. It's early morning for me, so excuse me. Basically, you know what we do here. We're all about black people, black empowerment, black relationships, black love, black money. About our money, trying to talk about investing and stuff like that. I'm gonna definitely get into probably more of that type of information being shared as well. But at this time, right now, this is what I've been pretty much focused on is really just black relationships and black wealth and things of that nature. So with this interview, well, it's not even an interview. It's pretty much just him talking. But what he's speaking about is our relationship with wealth and how black people feel about money and how we let money control sometimes the decisions that we make. And they'll be the wrong decision, but we did it because, we thought we could get paid. So check him out. You know how I do. I'm probably jump in and out with a few things if I agree or disagree. But yeah, appreciate the love. Let's go.
And sisters, to understand Black America's psychopathological pursuit of money and materialism, as 50 Cent said in his first studio album, Get Rich or Die Trying. As 50 Cent said in his first studio album, Get Rich or Die Trying. And then, of course, some of our hip-hop artists came out, conscious hip-hop groups came out and said, Get Free or Die Trying. 50 Cent said, Get Rich or Die Trying. Your life is worth being taken in the pursuit of money and materialism. That relates directly to today's topic of the psychopathology of poverty. There would be no psychopathology of money and materialism if there was no psychopathology of poverty. Psychopathology is the root cause of Black America's pursuit of money and materialism, because we have been the most impoverished race in American history. We have been the African in America, undisputedly so, is the most impoverished person in the history of this country. We came from nothing. Even after slavery, we had nothing. Even if you go through the South, if you go through the black portions of Appalachia, if you go into certain ghettos, even in the North, you will see a poverty among Africans in America right now in the 21st century that rivals the impoverished ghettos that we lived in the 20s and 30s. It rivals the extreme lack of resources we had in the aftermath of Reconstruction.
For sure.
I can remember in my early days in being a school psychologist.
But I don't know.
And I was raised in poverty. But I can remember in my early days.
I know what he's saying, though, when it comes to the South, because I've been down south, Mississippi, Louisiana, and yeah, like, we go to New Orleans every year. And, I mean, just going down there is like, we go down there to kick it, at Bourbon Street, what I'm saying, stuff like that. But riding around the city, bro, like riding around New Orleans, it totally looks nothing like riding around where I'm from, Ohio, Cleveland. Like, nothing at all. And to the point where they are still, recovering from previous hurricanes, not just one, but previous hurricanes, where they weren't able to get, funding from the government and stuff like that. When we go down there, we have a driver that we've been, he's been our driver for probably the past 5-6 years. So, when we go down there, we talk to him, and, he tells us about, a lot of the things that have gone on down there, with, not just, the government and not giving no funding for repairs and stuff like that, but also like, he's like the politics down there are real messed up, where, he's like, I think he was telling us stuff about, all type of scandals, I guess you would say, where people stealing money from the pretty much from the city and stuff like that, and getting caught up doing stuff like that and not giving them money, just bad down there, like really bad. And it's like I said, I feel like they probably really live off of tourist money for real, and working together. Because one thing I can say is that when I go down there, pretty much every place we go and patronize is a black-owned establishment. Every time we go down there, he always tells us about some new black-owned establishments that we can go and visit and that we check out. So, I definitely know the tourism down there is alive and well. And like I say, a lot of the things down there, at least in the area that we're at, the tourist area, it's a lot of black-owned businesses, a lot of black-owned stuff. I mean, of course, it's Arabs and stuff like that all down there, but, you do see, a lot of brothers and sisters, doing their thing with their businesses and making money. So, because like I say, our drivers, that's a black-owned business. So, and I think the last time we went down there, he told us about, I wish it was something cupcakes, I believe. I would have to look it up, but he said one of his girls had opened up a food spot, so we walked to the food spot, patronized her. So, and once again, I think that, and see, being up north, the mentality of working together isn't there, because I'm not going to say there's no reason to, because there's always a reason to, but it's not there because I guess it's kind of different when there may be like a big tragedy or a big hurricane or something that, cripples the whole city type shit, brings the city together and makes it so, we got to work together, because if we want to have anything, nigga, we got to patronize each other. We got to work together and spend money with each other so that we can all have stuff. So up here, we don't have that, because we never had any big disaster that, made us have to be like, we got to start patronizing, because we got to start getting money, because these white folks ain't, because that's how it is down there. Once again, that's the South. Like, them white folks down there is different. They cut different. Them politicians down there is different. Them mayors down there is different. Them white folks down there, period, is different. So it's different down there when it comes to that.
Going into homes that I can still remember to this day, where the people lived in extreme poverty. I'm not talking uncleanliness, because you can still be clean and be in poverty. So don't confuse uncleanliness with poverty. You can be in a mansion and be unclean. I'm speaking of poverty, the extreme lack of the necessary resources in order to live. Food, clothing, shelter. Because so many of us come from that, the minute we taste money and materialism, we feel the obligation to exaggerate the benefits of money and materialism. If you listen to the average gangster rapper, who suffers from the psychopathology of poverty. Very few hip hop artists do not suffer from the psychopathology of money and of poverty. Very few. Many of them suffer from the pursuit of money and materialism, which is the outgrowth of the psychopathology of poverty. Most of our R&B singers, most of our actors, our athletes, most of them suffer from the psychopathology of poverty. They were traumatized by being poor. And they were traumatized so much by being poor that they have to exaggerate the benefits of money and materialism every single day of their life. They cannot have a conversation without talking about how much they own. Now, I want you to stay with me because this narrative is going somewhere. I want you to stay with me because this analysis is going somewhere, because at some point in this conversation, I want to compare it to the Europeans' psychopathology of power. I want to compare the black man's psychopathology of poverty to the European psychopathology of power. I want to conduct an intellectual analysis, a comparison and contrast between the black man and woman's psychopathology of poverty and the Europeans' psychopathology of power. There is a fundamental difference. Both are unhealthy, both are inhumane, both are dysfunctional, but they are total opposites from one another. So our group's psychopathology of power has engendered within us an addiction to all things financial.
That was a quick one. I definitely respect what he's saying, definitely understand it, because a lot of, that was one thing I can say. I never, I always drop a comment, but one thing I could say is that I always used to feel like when I was coming up listening to rappers, like, why all the rappers got to be the poorest of the poor and come out the worst? Like, it sounded like every rapper, was born with a crackhead mama, daddy sold dope or was a pimp, like, like it was just so much violence and drugs and hustling around them that it was just, and then they just came up out of all that, it became, the best rapper alive and all this other stuff. And it used to trip me out because, growing up, your parents tell you this all the time when it came to the music and the rappers. If you grow up in my generation, I'm 43, so if you grew up in my generation, the 90s for real, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, then your parents used to tell you, if you had parents, because once again, we did have a crack epidemic that definitely tore households apart. But if you did have parents around, they told you that what the rappers were saying was not real. It's not real. It's not real. And I used to be like, yeah, it is real, man. You live your life. You was born, you raised in the projects, man. He was a project baby. You got to do this, you got to do that. And he was hustling. All that is real, Even when it came to Tupac. Like, Tupac was my favorite rapper. Still, it's my, favorite rapper. But looking back on, some of Tupac's lyrics and some of the music that I used to listen to when I was young, and I did have both my parents in the household, but I still, listen to rap music. But listening to Tupac, he used to have me, I used to feel like I got to be out there thug life. Like, I got to be out there, I got to be hard. Like, I can't be out there soft, you know what I'm saying? I can't be scared to go to the penitentiary. I can't be scared to go to jail. Nigga, that's part of life, nigga. I mean, that's the shit that they was rapping about, going to jail. Like, and I remember I forgot who it was. It was a comedian back in the day who did a stand-up, and he actually said the same thing pretty much. He was like, niggas get more love coming home from jail than they get from graduating college. Now, I would say that's probably not as big. That's probably not a thing like it used to be. I mean, it's still a big thing when a nigga come home, period, point blank, free the guys. You feel me? So that's always gonna be a big deal. But graduating college is definitely a big deal. You put them 4 years in and you pay all that money and you get that degree. I'm gonna be there to see you graduate and all that stuff. So, I'm with all of it. But, the fact of the matter is you never seen them promoting black excellence when it came to rap music. You feel me? They promoted black violence. They promoted drugs. There was rappers out there that had degrees, but you didn't hear them rapping about their degrees. You feel me? You didn't hear them talking about them graduating college and stuff like that, because that wasn't the cool thing to be. I mean, let's keep it honest. Back in the day, being smart wasn't cool. You were being a nerd. You know what I mean? You would get picked on every day. You get bullied for being a nerd. So people didn't want to be nerds. So how do you not be a nerd? Well, I'm smart, but I'm going to act like I'm stupid, or I'm going to act like an idiot because I don't want to be labeled a nerd. That was the mentality of us growing up. Now, and I'm not going to lie, in my opinion, now it's kind of cool to be a nerd, or it's more acceptable. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a nerd, period. I mean, it's just the word nerd used to just get you beat up. And I'm not going to say it's acceptable now, because, nerd is still a nerd. I'm quite sure they still get bullied. But being smart, black men being smart and showing that they're smart is something that I feel like we do now more than we used to do. Because back then, like I said, it wasn't about showing up, trying to get straight A's, and that was the good thing. I'm trying to, I'm just going to barely pass because I don't even want to be labeled a nerd or be considered, the nerd, and be having to hang out with the nerds and stuff like that. So you kind of get that mentality. In my opinion, you get that mentality. But like I said, it depends on what generation you grew up in. Because now we have all this technology. This generation, they're smart but stupid. And when I say that meaning they're smart because, they have a lot more knowledge at their fingertips. So there's definitely a lot more things that they know at their young ages that we totally didn't know because we just wasn't exposed to those things at a young age. But where in my opinion, the stupidity comes in is that they don't care about how they got to the answer, right? So you remember when you were in school and you would do an algebra equation or something like that, and your teacher would tell you to show your work. And the reason they would tell you to show your work is so that they could see how you got to the answer, right? So as well as so you could see how you got to the answer. Now it's like kids just go to the answer. They don't care about the formula or how I got there, because what do I need to know the formula for when I could just Google it? When I could just, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to I just go on my iPhone, put some numbers in, and I got it. But you don't know how you got it. You're just doing it off the phone, or you're just getting information from the computer. You're not literally doing any work. You're not really learning how to solve that problem. So that's where I feel like this generation is lacking. They just lack the focus of learning the process. They just want to go straight to the answer and keep it moving. So you gotta see where your value's at. That's all. Is the value in the answer, or is the value in the process? So appreciate the love. Definitely subscribe. www.blackfathersofcleveland.com. That's our website. You can go there, check us out, see some of the things that we're doing in the community. Really appreciate the love. Peace.